Run a diner for 6 years, and you learn the difference between a customer and a critic. Customers eat. Critics evaluate. Critics don't tip. I've flipped eggs at 4:30 every morning since I bought the Blue Door Diner in 2019, so I know something about feeding people who never say thank you. But there's a difference between a stranger who forgets to say it and a family that built an entire operating system out of not saying it. I grew up inside that system. My mother, Rose, ran every gathering like an org chart, a right table and a lesser table, a list of who hosted, who brought the good casserole, who got invited to the sunroom afterward, and who found out about the sunroom from photos. For 25 years, I was the staff. I cooked the Easter ham. I hosted the showers. My brother Paul showed up with wine and got a toast. I showed up with 3 days of cooking and got asked where the serving spoons were. I wasn't the favorite. I wasn't the black sheep. I was the caterer. It took my own daughter's 17th year on this earth for me to finally see the apron I'd never taken off. My daughter, Lily, is the kind of kid who shows love with her hands. She fixes your wobbly chair, charges your phone unasked, stands beside me on the diner's Saturday line like she was born holding tongs. When my mother's 70th birthday came up, Lily didn't buy a card. She planned a menu. She spent 2 weeks texting relatives one question: "What's the one dish that made you happy at a family dinner?" and collected the answers like evidence. For my mother, she didn't have to ask. Rose had spent 30 years bragging about her own grandmother's peach cobbler, the one nobody had gotten quite right. Lily found a version online and tested it 4 times until my kitchen smelled like a county fair. She budgeted the whole dinner out of $340 of her own tip money, and when I tried to slip her my card at the store, she pushed it back. "It's my gift, Mom. Gifts count more when they cost you something." 17 years old, and she hand-lettered a place card for all 23 guests. Grandma Rose's sitting at the head with a gold border she redid twice to get straight. I want to be clear, I didn't walk my daughter into this blind. 3 weeks out, I texted Rose, "Birthday dinner at our house, Saturday the 14th, 6 p.m., Lily cooking everything." She replied one word: "Fine." Not lovely, not thank you, fine. A week later, at Sunday lunch, I asked again in front of witnesses. She waved the question off like crumbs off a tablecloth. "Yes, of course, your house." Then, to her friend Sandra, dropping off bridge cards. "Dana's place is cozy, homey, you know, simple." Sandra smiled with the bottom half of her face only. I heard the knife. I translated it anyway, the way I always did. "She's just old-fashioned. She'll melt when she tastes the cobbler." 25 years of fluency in my mother, and it turns out fluency is its own kind of blindness. What I heard as a snobby aside was actually a door quietly opening. The day of the party, Lily was up before me, and I get up at 4:30 for a living. By 7, the kitchen was organized like a line cook's station. Stations labeled in painter's tape, a timeline taped to the cabinet counting backward from 6 o'clock. Chicken and dumplings for Aunt Janet. Baked mac and cheese, doubled for the cousins. Green beans the way my late father liked them. Rolls from scratch, which I told her was madness. And the cobbler, timed to come out warm at 6:15, so the house would smell exactly like my mother's childhood when the candles went in. At 3, she sat down to finish the place cards. 23 of them fanned across the table, her calligraphy growing steadier with each one. At 4, she stood in the doorway, surveying 9 hours of work, and allowed herself one small smile. At 4:15, my phone lit up. I remember the exact time, because the cobbler timer read 1:45. The message went to the entire family chat, all 23 of us, 45 seconds before she bothered to text me privately. That order tells you everything about my mother's priorities. Change of plans, everyone. Sandra's booked the private room at Antonelli's as my birthday gift. We're eating at a restaurant tonight, 7 p.m. Adults only, please. Then, to me alone. "You can bring the cobbler if you want, adults only." I stood in my kitchen and read it 3 times. My daughter was upstairs changing into the dress she'd bought for tonight. On my stove sat 6 finished dishes for 23 people. I called my mother. Straight to voicemail. She was at the salon, posting a photo captioned, "70 and fabulous." I texted, "Mom, Lily cooked all day. Everything's ready. Please call." 9 minutes later. "Don't make this difficult, Dana. A restaurant is simply more appropriate. Adults only." There it was, twice in one afternoon. Not a slip, a policy. I didn't have to say anything to Lily, because she was already in the kitchen doorway in her new dress, phone in hand. She was in the chat too, of course. She'd watched her own dinner get cancelled in real time by the woman it was for. She set her phone down, picked up the sugar shaker, and kept finishing the cobbler. Without looking up, she said, in a voice so level it broke my heart cleaner than sobbing ever could, "It's okay, Mom. I'm used to it." 17 years old, and her first instinct was to comfort me. I stood there doing math I'd never let myself do. The recital Rose missed for bridge night, the birthday moved for her brunch, the swim meet nobody came to. Every time, I'd knelt down and said, "Grandma loves you in her own way." I thought I was building a bridge. Standing in that doorway, I finally saw what I'd actually built. A daughter, fluent in the family rulebook, taught to her one gentle translation at a time, by me. My mother's house had always run on 2 tables, mahogany with cloth napkins, and a card table in the den. I ate at the card table until I was 23, promoted the year I got engaged, her word. My cousin Rachel never got promoted, she just stopped coming. My mother isn't a cartoon. She remembers every grandchild's shoe size, showed up with rubber boots when my diner flooded. She loves with her hands. She just cannot let love outrank protocol. Standing there with her policy glowing on my phone, a question I'd never asked in 41 years, finally sat down at my table. I knew every rule in her dictionary. But who wrote it? The family chat did what it always does with a Rose decree. Went quiet, then splintered into private panic. My cousins Beth and Tyler had 5 kids between them. Adults only, had just uninvited 9 people from a 23-person party on 4 hours' notice on a Saturday. My mother's plan hadn't just erased Lily's dinner. It had sorted the whole family into who mattered and who didn't, same as she always had, just this time with a timestamp everyone could see. I called my brother Paul. He's survived our mother the way smart men survive weather, never commenting on the storm. "It's her 70th, Dana. Don't make it a thing." I told him it already was a thing. His niece had made 23 place cards for it. "Kids don't care as much as you think," he said, golf on in the background. "If this blows up, it's not going to be Mom who blew it up. You know how this works." I did. That was the whole problem. Then my husband Mark came home, listened, jaw working, and said the reasonable words I'd said myself for 25 years. "One dinner, Dana. We grit our teeth, we go, we come home." He wasn't wrong by the old rules. He was quoting them accurately. Then he walked past Lily, wrapping her 6 dishes into containers one by one, methodical instead of crying, and I watched 15 years of keep the peace drain out of him through the floor. He set his glass down, looked at me, not his phone, not the door, and asked the only question left in the house, "What are you going to do?" I called my mother one last time, offering something with no teeth at all. Bring the food to Antonelli's as family style, or move the restaurant to Sunday, and keep tonight as planned. Either way, Sandra's gift still counts, and Lily's still counts too. Silence, the expensive kind. Then, Antonelli's is not a potluck. I'm not rearranging my birthday around a teenager's project. A project. 9 hours. 4 test batches of her own dead mother's recipe. The room seats 12. Wear the blue dress. It's slimming. She hung up. 23 people invited. She'd already decided which 11 of us were furniture. I picked up the gold-bordered place card from the head of the table. On the back, in Lily's real handwriting, not the calligraphy. "Happy 70th, from your sous chef." 5 years she'd been carrying that plan. I put the card back exactly where it belonged, and I stopped being a translator. At 4:40, my mother escalated from policy to terms. "Since you haven't confirmed, I expect you and Mark at Antonelli's alone. If you sulk at home, don't bother with Thanksgiving. Don't expect me to explain your boycott to the family. They'll draw their own conclusions." Every sentence a hostage. For 25 years, I'd paid every one of these in full and called it being the bigger person. I sat on my bed for 10 minutes and audited myself instead of her. The recital I called flexible. The birthday I called understanding. Every translation I'd told myself was protection. Lily had filed as an adult, patiently explaining why her hurt shouldn't be believed. My mother built the ranking system, but I was the one who taught my daughter to accept her rank politely. I could not get Lily a better seat at that table. Nobody could. It was built plank by plank, so someone always sat below the salt. The only move that had ever existed was to set a different table entirely. I went to Lily's room. She was watching a cooking video with the sound off, which is what she does instead of crying. I told her the plan straight. Open our doors at 6, exactly as planned. Invite everyone. Kids first. Some people would go to the restaurant anyway. It might be 4 of us eating 6 dishes. If we do this, you're the chef. It's your food on the line. Your call too. She thought about it, really thought. Then the flatness left her face. If it's 4 people, I'm still plating it in courses. Then, quieter. You'd really do that to Grandma? I told her the truest thing I'd said all day. Not to Grandma, baby. For you. I wrote 3 drafts to the family chat and deleted all 3. A prosecution with 25 years of receipts. A sarcastic jab. An apologetic essay explaining everybody to everybody. Every one of them kept me at my mother's table, just angrier. The only message that actually left the table was one with no argument in it. First, I texted my mother privately. Mom, I love you, and happy birthday. I'm not coming without Lily. I won't leave her home like a coat. Dinner's still at 6. Everything she cooked for you is on the table, and the seat at the head has your name on it in gold. It'll be there at 6, and it'll still be yours if you walk in at 8. I hope you come. Either way, I'm done choosing between my mother and my daughter. I sent it before the translator in me could soften it. The 3 dots appeared, vanished, appeared again. A woman who never sends a first draft. Then, silently, one word surfaced under my message. Seen? Read and dismissed like a waiter. It hurt, but it also burned the last bridge I might have been tempted to stand on. At 5:07, I sent the family chat 2 photos, the table set with 23 place cards catching the evening light, and the cobbler, golden and imperfect. No accusation, no explanation. Dinner is still at 6 at our house, exactly as planned. Everything on the table was cooked for Grandma by Lily. Everyone is welcome, kids especially. Then I put the phone face down and refused to check it. Whatever happened next would tell me who my family actually was. At 5:58, the doorbell rang. Beth, her husband, all 3 kids. Behind them, Tyler's family. We were always coming here, Beth said. The other invitation didn't include my children, so it didn't include me. Aunt Janet arrived at 6 sharp, coat already off. 14 people total, filling my house to the walls. Children count double when a house is being measured for warmth. Lily tied her apron back on and ran her first real service, chicken and dumplings for Aunt Janet, who fanned her face with her hand. Mac and cheese mobbed by cousins. My father's green beans. Nobody at that table was furniture. Across town, 9 adults sat in a room built for 12. My mother at the head in her salon curls. The food was reportedly excellent, the toasts reportedly brief, and per my aunt's friend Dolores, who happened to be there, my mother checked her phone twice during the entree, practically a flare fired over the bow, for a woman with her posture about phones at tables. At 8:53, the family chat came back to life, not with commentary, just photos. The cobbler, half demolished. The kids' table, juice boxes raised mid-toast. Nobody aimed a word at anyone. Just a door standing open in pictures where 23 people could see it. From the restaurant contingent, silence. A different texture than before. Later that night, washing the last sheet pan alone, it finally hit me. Not triumph, just her voice at 4:15. I'm okay, Mom. I'm used to it. I cried quietly into the dishwater for a girl who'd taught herself to expect the card table, and for 25 years of me handing her the flashcards. Aunt Janet, drying dishes beside me, gave me the missing piece of my own mother. In 1980, 24 years old, first Thanksgiving as a bride, Rose's mother-in-law had told her the dining table was for family, and she wasn't family yet. She ate that Thanksgiving standing at the counter alone, listening to them laugh through the wall, every holiday, until she had a baby who earned her a seat. She didn't invent the rule book. She inherited it. Doesn't excuse it, I told Janet. But that's where the ink came from. Sunday morning, 8:40, the doorbell rang. Through the frosted glass, I saw my mother's shape, but wrong. Still, my mother sweeps through doors mid-sentence. This shape just stood there, waiting, a paper bag held with both hands. I didn't hurry, not out of cruelty. I was giving the translator in me the morning off. I opened the door. She came in like a diplomat entering a country that voted wrong, clocked the dining table still extended, her gold-bordered card still at the head, and sat down. "The family's saying you split the family," she opened. "You'll post something today. Light, gracious. 2 celebrations. 1 big happy weekend. Then we never speak of it again. Not sorry. Not what did I miss. Spin." "I'm not posting anything," I said, calm as a burnt order at the diner. I didn't split the family. I set a table. Everyone was invited, you most of all. People sat where they wanted. That's not a mix-up. That's just what happened. Her cup made the tiny click that has ended arguments in our family for 50 years. For the first time, the click didn't work. She ran through her arsenal, the guilt about her birthday, then a bargain. Fine, at Christmas, Lily can sit at the main table. Even now, she could only imagine this as a seating error, solvable by promotion. I declined it the way you decline a coupon for a store you've stopped shopping at. Her shoulders came down half an inch. Her voice lost its finish. "Then what do you want from me, Dana? What am I supposed to do?" "Nothing with me. We're square. It's Lily you owe. She's in the backyard. You're going to walk out there and tell your granddaughter. Not me, her. What her cooking meant." My mother crossed my porch like a woman visibly lost, and lowered herself onto the concrete step beside Lily, not the chair 2 feet away. The step. Out of the paper bag came a container of leftover cobbler, dropped on her porch by Aunt Janet the night before with a note. "You should at least taste it." She ate it cold, slowly, with her own good silver fork, on the ground. Whatever she said when she finished, I never asked. That belongs to the 2 of them. Lily came back inside for the menu, and my mother read every line of it with her finger, the way she reads hymnals. On her way out, she paused at my door, straightened a picture frame that was already straight, and said, not looking at me, "The seasoning in the chicken and dumplings, she gets that from my grandmother. Nobody else ever got it right." Then she left. That was the entire concession speech. 1 inch of ground, delivered sideways, about seasoning. I've been fluent in my mother for 41 years. That inch was the whole war. It's been 6 weeks. My table is Lily's table now. First Sunday of every month. No head seat because Lily seats people wherever the conversation needs them. Beth's crew hasn't missed one. My mother came to the first one and sat at a place card that simply read, "Grandma?" Same ink as everybody else's. And I watched her pocket it when she thought no one was looking. She missed the second one for a club thing, and the miracle nobody warned me about is that it was fine. The door stayed open. The dumplings got eaten. She can come sit in the warmth as an equal, or she can miss it. Either way, the cobbler comes out at 6:15. Lily's applying to culinary school this fall. Her essay opens with a birthday dinner for 14. Midway through that first monthly dinner, while the cousins fought over crust corners, she leaned into my shoulder and said quietly, "I'm not used to this yet." I looked out at the loud, unranked, gravy-stained table she built and gave her the only inheritance worth passing down. "Good," I said. "Don't ever be." I spent 25 years asking for a better seat at my mother's table. Turns out the only thing I ever had to do was set my own.